Would you like to start your own business? Do you want to know how I built my business? Well, today I'm going to tell you exactly how I did it. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs who gave up their six-figure salary and fancy office to start a business, and I wasn't selling lemonade to my neighbors when I was 7. I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and I never laid awake at night dreaming of owning my own business. My name is Ellery Wells, and I was forced to make a decision. Welcome to the Ellery Wells Show, where we talk with real entrepreneurs about real problems that they're facing and real solutions on how they are overcoming obstacles, achieving their goals, and making a difference in the world. If you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the place to be to help you start, build, or grow your business. If you're wanting to start a business, or if you're trying to figure out how other people have built theirs so you can follow in their footsteps and follow their roadmap, if you will, and do what they did, then this is the episode that you should be listening to right now. Because I never went to business school, I don't have an MBA, but I have been able to build a successful online business, and I realized this the other day. I think I mentioned this in a couple episodes ago, but I have a global brand. I have paying clients in multiple countries because of what I'm about to share with you. We've all been told to follow our passion, but how do we validate our ideas and determine if there's a market for what we want to sell? What if I could show you how experts and professionals pre-sell products, determine market size, and decide which products to create and which ones should be put on the shelf for later? If you're not interested and you decide to not enroll in the program, nothing bad will happen. Wait, what? Yeah, nothing bad will happen to you if you don't enroll. But nothing good will happen either. If you don't enroll in 8 weeks to exit, two things are guaranteed to happen. First, you'll always wonder, what if? Second, you'll go back to work on Monday and nothing will have changed. Your dreams will be put on hold, you'll have a few extra dollars in your pocket, and you won't have put in any effort to do something amazing with your life. You've already spent plenty of time debating if 8 weeks to exit is worth your time and money. And that's just fine. But remember, doing nothing leads to exactly where you are now. How does that sit with you? Don't put your dreams on hold. Haven't you waited long enough? Head over to 8weekstoexit.com for more information and to become a student. And if you want to follow along with the notes or see the links that I'm going to mention in the episode today, you can go to ellerywells.com/built my business and the number 1, built my business 1, because there's 2 parts. I split it up, and hope you'll listen to that one too. But to be honest, I did go to business school, but it was only for a semester, and it was only really, well, I guess it had to have been a full semester. I didn't drop any classes, but I sat in Dr. Chonko's intro to business class my freshman year at Baylor, and I learned something key, and that is, don't lie, cheat, or steal, and don't do business with people who do. Well, I never studied accounting, I never wrote a business plan, and I never understood why people pronounce the word finance like finance. So combine that with don't lie, cheat, or steal. I learned that growing up in church. I thought, I got this. And I switched my degree, or my major at the time, to a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, which is what I have now. But I did, so after all that, never studying accounting, I never had an accounting class. I don't think I wrote that business plan. And like I said, today, people still, when they say finance, one of my clients does, and I'm not trying to be mean, it just sounds really weird. It's like only financial people say finance, when I just say, it's finance. I guess you would say financials, but I say whatever. Anyway, I did, after all that, I did start a business a few years ago, officially in 2014, and I have been profitable almost the entire time, and that's what we're talking about. Let's get back to the point. Focus, Ellery. Though I did use some personal funds to buy my first domain and get a hosting account and enroll in a few training programs. I think I might have mentioned a few years ago, I went through, actually I didn't finish that either. I started Jeff Goins' Tribe Writers course, but almost every aspect of my business has been self-funded. While I don't have a multi-million-dollar business with dozens of employees or contractors or virtual assistants, what I do have is a business that generates tens of thousands of dollars in revenue, and which allows me to work from wherever I want with whomever I want. And I thought that by sharing how I built my business, you could start yours too. And I believe deep down that entrepreneurship will make you a better person, that every person should start a business at least once in their life. And I think if everybody embraced their inner entrepreneur, we would probably have a better, maybe cleaner, more politically functioning, more prosperous world. And if I can help you start your business, I will. At the very least, feel like I have done my part in making this wonderful world in which we live a better place. And I also have an 8-week training program that walks students through every aspect of an online business with live training videos, step-by-steps. And again, like I mentioned just a second ago in my little promo, you can go to 8weekstoexit.com to find that out. So here's how I am building my business. I started with what I had. I built my business by starting with what I had, and that wasn't very much. Back in the beginning of 2012, I had never purchased a domain before. I had never heard of WordPress, and I didn't even know web hosting was a thing. I'd seen the GoDaddy commercials. I think, was Danica Patrick? Yeah, she was in 2012. But before that, I think I went with GoDaddy because it was brand recognition. Anyway, I didn't have most of the tools that I use all the time these days. And if I'd had a resources page, also you can find that on ElleryWellness.com. If I'd had one then, it would have been blank. But I did have an intense desire to improve my station in life. I did have a desire to make a difference in the lives of the people around me and have some fun conversations. And I made the time to learn, create, screw up, and do the other things that are on this list. So the first one was I started with what I had. The next one, I did things bad at first. And I built my business by doing things really bad. My first website was ugly. Actually, my first 3 or 4 websites were pretty bad. And my first domain was I would call it a mistake, but I would rather say it was a learning experience. My first blog posts were poorly written, and I didn't even know what a landing page was. And when you first start something new, learn to become uncomfortable with the feeling of falling down. Let me say that one more time. When you first start something new, learn to become comfortable with the feeling of falling down. Tell yourself it's okay to be bad when you first begin. So many people stop because they don't want to look stupid, they don't want to look bad, or they get started and then they realize, hey, I look kind of stupid, or I'm not doing this very well, so they stop because they're afraid of that future ridicule, or they're already getting it and they don't want to deal with it anymore. But when we first started walking, we fell all the time. But we have people around us, at that age anyway, we have people around us encouraging us, helping us, telling us it's okay to keep trying. I remember just a few weeks ago, we were in Oklahoma City for my nephew's first birthday, and he was trying to get walking. I think he mastered it just a week after we left, maybe a couple days after we left, really. And my sister was telling me he's just running all over the place. And starting business is a lot like that. It's a lot like learning how to walk, how my nephew Oliver was getting up, falling down, kind of resisting walking at first, looking for things to hold on to. Is that something that you can relate to if you've got kids? Probably. If you don't, well, absolutely. If you don't have kids, you can probably look at little rugrats running around and get the idea. But that's why you should hire a coach. You should have something to hold on to. You should have something guide you, or you could join a mastermind group. The next thing that I did is I failed forward. Just like my nephew, he would keep falling. And he would grab onto that little, it's not a cartoon, it's a toy, it looks like a cartoon, like lawnmower. And he would grab that and he would keep falling on that. And I wish I could sit here and tell you that every mistake led to discovery, but I can't. But the wise man doesn't look where he fell. He looks where he stumbled. That's a old Chinese proverb. So I'm going to respect their wisdom and tell you that again. The wise man doesn't look where he fell. He looks where he stumbled. And luckily, I stumbled a lot, so I had a lot of places to look. And looking back on my times working for the man, I remember feeling miserable a lot. Work took its toll, and I was grumpy and I was angry a lot of the time. And those negative feelings kept pushing me forward to continue improving. So every time I failed, I was motivated to pick myself up, shake it off, and move forward so that I wouldn't have to go back into that negative environment anymore. And I think I talked about this. It's on ellerywells.com as a blog post. I don't know if I mentioned it here on the podcast. But to be successful, you've got to have something you're trying to get away from and something that you're going toward. Some people, not everybody gives that advice, but that's something that I feel is pretty fundamentally true. If you've got a goal to go after, like let's say you want to lose weight for the summer, that's fine. But you've also got to tie into what you're getting away from. Being fat or being without energy or not feeling comfortable with how you look. So you've got to have something that you want to go to, and you have to have something that you want to get away from. You want to make money in your business, but you also don't want to be broke. You want to have job freedom and work from anywhere and be able to hang out and play video games or whatever you want to do, and you don't want to go back into the office anymore. Every experience holds a lesson, and we just have to be diligent enough to look for it. So fail forward. And I read, the next thing I did was I read, I studied, and I improved. Well, hopefully. Can you hear this? I bet you can't. I just got the new Logitech mouse, and I was telling one of my friends with all the quiet keyboard stuff that Logitech has. Can you hear this? If you can, you can barely hear it. It's a new keyboard, but the click on this mouse is so freaking loud. It's just funny that it's so loud. It's louder than my last one, and it was the keyboards get quieter. This mouse just loud. Anyway, one year I read 18 books on personal development, and I can't count the number of podcasts that I listened to. It's what I did all the time. And if you want to learn a new skill, develop a new habit, or become the person you were meant to be, you will have to read, study, and improve. Read books written by smart people. Study the lives and actions of the entrepreneurs you admire. Take lessons from every source and improve on what you're doing. And remember, do things badly at first, but keep getting better. I'd love to throw in a promo for Exit Strategy. Read books by smart people. Hopefully I fall into that, and Exit Strategy falls into that. But I'll just be passive and not do that. Anyway, the next thing that I did was I woke up early and I stayed up late. I built my business by waking up earlier than I had to, 3 hours in fact. I worked with accounts on the West Coast, so at 7 a.m. their time, 9 a.m. Central Time, I had to be at work. I was up around 6, not always, probably rarely before that, honestly, but probably around 6 to read, blog, probably not listen to podcasts, because I could do that in the car. I couldn't read in the car. It's hard to read at work. I could listen to podcasts at work. So in the morning, 3 hours before I had to be at work, I would be reading and writing and doing the things that helped me get to where I am now. And with the caveat that, again, I don't have a multi-million-dollar business. It's still growing. It's still, I think, kind of in its infancy stage. It's not, we have, as a business, I have the royal we have learned to crawl, and we are now walking, and every once in a while we jog. And that's just a little bit of transparency on me. But all of the things that I'm talking about here and what we're going to talk about in the next episode, which will be part 2, these got me to that point. And it was then, when I started 5 years ago, I sacrificed sleep so I could put in the work. And I think this may come up in part 2, but I'll allude to it now or give you a little bit of a heads up now. Anytime you want to add something to your life, you've got to cut something out. You've got to give something up. You've got to make sacrifices. One of my clients, one of my good friends, was going through that phase in his business We talked about this like 6 months ago, and he was saying, I'm really learning what sacrifice means now, because you might be thinking this too. Oh, I will sacrifice. Oh, yeah, I get it. I understand. You have to sacrifice. And he was actually going through that cutting process and what it looks like. And he was messaging me, texting me questions after I'd gone to sleep and before I woke up the next morning. And that's the kind of sacrifice that I made. And that is a type of sacrifice that you could make. Sleep less. Will it suck? Yeah. Can you make it up later? Sleep when you're dead? All that kind of stuff? Possibly. But when I got fired in January of 2014, one of those unplanned events that can make a huge impact on your life, so that was the getting fired. When that happened, I would wake up 3 hours before I had to be at the office. I told you that. And I would read books like Think and Grow Rich, The Millionaire Fast Lane, Good to Great, Exit Strategy, EntreLeadership. I'm looking at my bookshelf now of just shelves and shelves and shelves of books that I could recommend to you. And each morning I would do that 5 days a week. Probably not so much on Saturday and Sunday, but after work and after spending time with my wife, Ashley, I would do the same things again late at night. I remember she would go to bed, and she had to get up early either for work or for school or something like that. She also has a degree. Well, she has multiple degrees, but she was going back to school at that time. And so she would go to bed, and I would work sitting basically right where I am now and do the things that also, again, help me get to where I am. And I sacrificed time then so I could do what I want to do now, which is coach entrepreneurs and write books, which I think I decided I'm going to get back to my second book. It's time. I put it off for good reasons, not made up ones, for good reasons, but I still think the book needs to be written. Maybe there's a lot of books in me, and I'll get back to the reason why I put this one on pause. I might get back to that reason later down the road. And the last thing that we'll talk about here in part one of this how I've built my business is I tried new things. If it wouldn't kill you or make you go bankrupt, why wouldn't you try it? Just think about that for a second. If it wouldn't kill you or make you go bankrupt or make you lose your house, why not give it a shot? I built my business by doing things that might not work. And over the past several years, I've tried new tactics, I've tested new strategies, and demoed a lot of software. I've tested new layouts on websites. I've tried to be somewhat provocative is not the right word, but be aggressive versus be passive versus just experimentation. And each of the things that I tried or tested years ago helped me build the business I have today. All right, and that wraps it up for today. In the part 2 of this, I've got 6 more things that I did in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, 2017, through today that I still do, but that I have done to build my business. And I really believe that you can do better than I have done if you learn from my mistakes, and that's why I am sharing them. Thank you for listening to the Ellery Wells Show. I'm your host, Ellery Wells, and it is a absolutely beautiful day here in Round Rock. And to everybody who is having any issues with hurricanes and bad weather and rain and flooding, please be safe. I've got a lot of friends in Houston, and actually I have more friends in Florida than I do in Houston, and I have a lot of friends in Houston. Just please be safe. Please don't do anything reckless or stupid. You can buy new things. You can replace things. Don't get yourself or your family members hurt. Anyway, I'm enjoying beautiful weather here in Round Rock, Texas, and again, I'm your host, Ellery Wells. Go have an awesome day.